Hello my friends, back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about something that I think is probably the most important thing for any type of wedding, event photography, any type of photography where you're shooting people. This is, in my opinion, the thing that's going to separate you from the other 99.9% of the people out there, is your lighting and the way that you use lighting. I believe that most photographers in the wedding business and when they're shooting people are afraid of using light, afraid of using speed lights and just different light in general, and everybody wants to go out and just get a camera and shoot at golden hour and just, do everything that way. You're never ever going to progress as a photographer, get to the next level with your work until you actually master and could learn how to control light. It's really the most important thing, that and composition, but use of light can create a composition all in itself. But if you do these, if you really take your lighting seriously and really invest in learning how to use it, most lighting setups, the stuff I'm going to show you that I use, it's very cheap, very inexpensive. I've just mastered it and I've used it to a point where I just know it like the back of my hands, and I can really manipulate the light to get exactly what I see in my head. That's what's going to separate you, because most photographers, especially the deluge of new photographers that are showing up now on the scene, I don't really see them as competition because most of them don't know how to use light. They classify themselves as natural light photographers, and they, like I said, they only want to shoot in, golden hour and it's and just bump up their ISOs when it gets darker or whatever. This is the number one thing that you can do to separate yourself from most people out there, is to get good with lighting, because it'll be able to unlock so many different creative ideas and potentials and separate yourself. And lighting is the reason why you have grainy photos, or somebody who doesn't use lighting has grainy photos, isn't because their camera isn't capable of bumping up the ISO to a point where there's no grain or there's good grain reduction or something like that. That's not the reason why you have grainy photos. The reason why is because light, you could have high ISOs but still use light correctly and have things well lit, and you're not going to have that extreme grain. You need to learn how to use the light and direct it, and you can bump up your ISOs and you won't have crazy grain. But photography is really about light. It's light and shadows, guys. When I'm on a site, on-site shooting at a wedding, a whole wedding, I always shoot in black and white. My camera is set to monochrome. All three of my cameras always set to monochrome. The reason I do that is because photography is just light and shadows. That's all it is. So when I'm looking at something, all I want to see is light and shadows. I want to see the balance between both. I don't want to see colors have extra information that's going to distract me from the light, the shadows, and the composition. That's all I want to see. It's another good tip I think that photographers can use, especially when they're learning, is to set their cameras to monochrome. It really adds it takes a while to get used to, I think, if you're new, but it adds another dimension that makes things, you're seeing things in a different way, because you're removing that information of color and you're just looking at the light, the shadows, and the composition. Helps me tremendously. So I want to show you guys, basically, I'm going to go through I'm going to switch you guys over to my computer, and I'm going to show you some photos that I use these on, but these are the main three things that I use. First, get yourself a Maglite, okay? This thing is so incredible for wedding days. I use this at every single wedding. It was like, I went online and it was like $80, and I guess $80 is kind of expensive, but not really for something like this. You want to get the old style Maglite, okay? The new ones have the LEDs. You want to get the halogen ones, okay? It has this warmer light here. It doesn't have the flicker problem that you're going to see with mirrorless cameras, or even some DSLRs too. When you're shooting, you're going to have or DSLRs at certain shutter speeds, you're going to have a flickering because of the refresh rate on the lights. But if you get the halogen one, the old school style, it doesn't have that. So this thing is incredible. I've used this on so many creative portraits, creative photos, where, you know, I can, you know, have this as a spotlight. I can have it going through, you know, windows to light people. I can have this to, you know, accentuate backgrounds and things, and it's obviously very versatile. The spread on it can get bigger or smaller as you turn this, and it's a really, 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 really cool way to make some creative photos and just, you know, separate your subjects from the background a little bit and highlight, especially with, I like dramatic portraits and things like that. So this is a awesome addition that's not really that expensive to your gear list, and something that I use all the time. But just make sure it's the old style, the halogen one, and not the new LED when you get it. The second thing is a speed light, obviously, but a grid. Okay, I use the mag grids, a little bit expensive. There's other ones that you can get. I just use the mag because it's so simple. I could just throw it on. I have a couple of these, so if I need to stack them and really, you know, make that beam of light smaller. But this is, you know, for those of you who don't know, a grid is basically just going to control the spill of the light. If I have it just a bare flash, the light's kind of going to go everywhere. This, you can slap it on there, and then it directs and it contains the light so it doesn't spill out all over the place. A grid is a really, really, really important tool once you start using speed lights, and you want to use it more than just, you know, even a lot of professional photographers now. When I was first starting off in the wedding business, I was just second shooting for people. The professionals, you know, that I was going with, they were charging, you know, $5,000-$6,000, and what they would do is just slap this on the top, just pull out the little bounce card here, and just, you know, aim it straight up at the ceiling and just bounce it off. So nothing really creative about that. It's just going to create enough light in the room to where everything looks, you know, lit. So I'm really all about directional lighting, getting it off your camera and actually thinking about where you want it to go. A grid is like the most important thing that you can have once you start to get your camera off, or your flash off the camera, and start directing it in different places. So I would definitely recommend getting a grid, maybe two. And you don't have to get the mag mod. I mean, the kit for the mag mod with the grid and like a I think a couple gels is like $120, something like that. But there's other grids that you can get that are really cheaper. They're just like, you know, Velcro that you can just put around the top. I like the mag mods, obviously, because I don't have to think about it. I could just do it very easily. But grid on your speed light is the second thing. And then the last thing that I use is this thing. It's called an ice light. It was developed by Jerry Guionis, I guess. His is like, I don't know, $500-$800, something like that. Again, you look at my other videos, I don't see any reason to spend money where it's unnecessary. You don't need an $800 or $500, whatever it is, ice light. This one's just fine. I got it off Amazon. It was like $40. And this thing is awesome for lighting up subjects too. I mean, it gets a really, really cool side light on faces. You're getting couples or you're getting close-ups and they're kissing, or, you know, hands, things like that, stuff you want to light up, detail shots. This thing is great. So you can turn this on, change the intensity, and then also it comes with a little controller where you can change the white balance of it too. You can make it like warmer and colder. I love this thing, especially on engagement shoots, because, you know, my wife and I, we switch back and forth. If we're going to do some lighting, one of us will hold a flash, one of us will hold an ice light, one of us will hold the Maglite, something like that, and then we'll get, you know, one of us will shoot, the other person will be, you know, directing the light. Like if this is somebody's face, you know, I'm just like kind of back, this is off camera, but we're, you know, moving the light around. This also leaves a very cool reflection in your eyeball. You guys probably can't see that, but it's a, instead of like a flash where it's just a, you know, a dot of light, this is actually a strip of light. So it's cool for portraits because it looks different. I really, really like this thing. It was only like $40 off Amazon. Just Google or Amazon search ice light, and this will come up. This thing's awesome. So those are the three things, guys. A Maglite, the old school style, a gridded flash, gridded speed light, and the ice light. With those three things, I can do so many creative things. I mean, I'm going to show you guys some pictures of stuff I did, but I really think that light is the most important thing with photography. Set your cameras to monochrome, guys. Try it out for a few shoots. See how it works. the balance of just light and shadows together and being able to see that when you're looking at the photos, especially through the EVF, is awesome because you're seeing what's most important there, the balance. The color adds a different dynamic perspective to it, that something else you have to think about. But if I have a shot that looks really, really, really good in black and white, I know it's going to look good in color anyways. Regardless, I don't need to see it. I know in post if I want to change it to color, it's going to look good. So black and white first for me. But yeah, light, I really want to start making other videos on light too, because it's what's most important to me, and I feel like it defines my style. And it's what most, when brides see our work, it's what they always mention. The first thing that they say is, I saw your work and I love the lighting. Some people don't like it because it is more dramatic, but I'm not searching for those clients anyways. I have a certain thing that interests me and I move towards that, and I like to connect with people who want that in for their photos. So yeah, I'm going to switch you guys over and just show you a few photos that I've taken with these three lights. My friends, just wanted to get back to you guys with my screen share here and just show you exactly what I was talking about with the examples from these lights. So the first one I got here, let's see. Okay. So this one right here is an example of the speed light with the grid on it. So as you can see, obviously we're having an extreme direction and control of the light on her. This was right after a ceremony. They had just gotten married. We were in a church. I saw this like big entrance way right here. It was dark on the outside. There's actually doors right behind her, but it was like pitch black out there. And I saw this cool chandelier, so I just underexposed everything completely until I had these candles where I could just basically just see them, and everything was like reflecting off that perfectly. So I set that as my ambient exposure. I had to stand right in the middle and just have I had a speed light with a grid on it, camera right here. So it's basically just hitting her as a little bit higher, so it's shooting down. And it's just, look, it's just lighting up her face, the side of her dress, a little bit out here, spilling out, and it's just very, very contained. That's the point of the grid. It's something that's easy to control that spill. It's not bouncing off all the walls or hitting the floor and then bouncing up or anything like that. It's just highlighting what you want to highlight, separating it out from the background. So yeah, this is a speed light with the grid example. This next one right here, this was a Maglite. I just had a Maglite right in the back. The room that she was in was like a sunroom. Obviously it was at night, but it was like really, really messy. There was a bunch of crap everywhere, and so the room didn't look good. So I really wanted to have a photo where I could get all the rest of that shit out of there. So I just underexposed everything till it was like black. What I did to get this like kind of like star, like this pattern with the light, to have it like kind of shoot out like that, is just stop down my aperture down to like f16, I think it was, something really, really low like that, and just set the Maglite up behind her. I had some atmospheric spray a little can of the stuff I got off Amazon, and it's like the spray, and it just goes in the air and just gives a little atmosphere. Just sprayed that in the air, and then boom, we just kind of got creative with the hand placement. I told her to put her hand up, and she didn't know what the hell I was doing, but she loved it, and I love it too, because it's simple, it's very, very effective, it gets the point across, it's dramatic, and best of all, you're just using one light. It's a constant light, very powerful constant light, and it's very simple, and this thing can throw in your bag and carry it around, and you could get creative and do different things with it. So this is an example of the Maglite. This one right here is a gridded flash as well. I had it just set up camera left right here a little bit. She's pretty short, so I had it up above and just shooting down. And this photo was taken kind of in broad daylight. This was a kind of a shaded area a little bit because the sun was off to the side, so there's casting a little bit of shadow, but there's still plenty of light out. You can kind of see her shadow right here, so you can see where the light was coming from. But yeah, so guys, this is a cool photo because obviously, like, I could have taken the photo without the flash
and just, you know, the flowing veil is cool, and her body placement is kind of cool. She looks apprehensive and kind of cool, and it's centered in the doorway, and then you have these leading lines going up. I mean, you know, I could have taken that without the flash, and it's cool composition and everything, but this is what's going to separate you guys from the other people is if you add a little bit of directional light, it adds that micro contrast, it adds that separation of subject to background, and the thing that you want people to focus on steps out of the picture. I mean, she would have kind of, obviously you would have been able to see her, but it's not, it blends in if you don't have the light controlling to separate what you want the audience to see. You know, it's very, very important. Just a little, it's not overpowering. It's just a little bit of light just to separate that, you know. It was gridded, so, you know, the light didn't spill out everywhere. If I had no grid on this thing, you would have had way more, you know, stuff spilling out everywhere, and it would have gone down here too. Like it looks almost like a spotlight is kind of coming through. I mean, because technically that's what it is, but it's, I don't know. I really like the photo. I think it's a good example of you know, what a grid can do even in broad daylight. It doesn't have to be at night. This one right here is the ice light. You know, just getting ready, doing makeup. I had her, I staged it. I had her, you know, put some extra powder on the shaker or whatever, and just had her shake it in the air real quick before she went and put it on her face. But yeah, it's a close up. The ice light is not a very powerful light, so you're not going to be able to use it from far off. But you know, you just hold it and experiment with a couple angles. That's the cool thing about this. I mean, you know, you could just hold this and you just like, you know, move it around and kind of see what looks good and shoot that. You know, what's interesting. You know, I mean, you can start off with an idea of, oh, I know I want to get, you know, the particles in the air, and then just use the light and move it around and hold it as you're shooting. I mean, it's a close-up, so I can have a camera in one hand and the light in the other, you know, if you don't have an assistant or whatever. And this one right here is the Maglite again. All this is this isn't post-production or anything. This is just, there was we were just doing random photos, and there was a flower vase in the room, and yeah, it was kind of like a mosaic and had different color pieces of glass in it. So I just set it up right here on the right hand side on the table, and just took the Maglite and just boom, just right through it. Just had that light, you know, going right through the vase, and it just cast these colors out, you know, and added something different and dynamic to the scenario. So the point is like, you know, even if you don't like these photos, the point is you can use these lights in an easy way. You don't need to get set up with crazy, you know, flash stands and all these soft boxes and all this. That stuff's cool, but I like to be like, my brain, I don't know if you guys are like me, my brain is going like 50 million miles an hour, especially on a wedding day. I mean, I have like ideas coming to me all the time, so I don't really want to be fucking around with setting up lights that take a long time. I want to have lights that I can direct, I can use dramatically, and I can use them easily. So yeah, guys, these are just the examples that I wanted to show you what's possible. Again, sorry about the audio quality. People have already commented on it, and I'm, you know, getting the microphone all set up, so coming soon. But yeah, if you guys like the video, just let me know. And any other videos you guys want me to do, tutorials on stuff, just let me know, and you know, I'll do it and help you guys out. All right, till next time, guys.